StarCast is proudly sponsored by DoghouseSystems.com. If you use the code StarCast or Biscuit at checkout, you will get double memory on your next Doghouse System. And also TweakedAudio.com. Go to TweakedAudio.com for high-performance noise-reducing earbuds. Use our code StarCast and get 30% off plus free shipping on your entire order. And finally, SC2QuoteOfTheDay.com. Daily quotes from the Starcraft 2 community. The site may suck, but the quotes are sick. And make sure to go check out their t-shirts in their new store. Once again, that's SC2QuoteOfTheDay.com, and we thank them for their support. Sponsor an episode of StarCast at thestarcast.com.
Hell, it's about damn time for StarCast.
Incoming transmission.
Biscuit.
Welcome back, everyone. This is StarCast, episode 151. What is today's date? I don't know. We don't usually do the date. This is very unprofessional, but it is Thursday, May 9th, 2013. I am Garrett Weinzierl. With me, as always, is Kyle Fergusson. Kyle, sir, how are you doing? You didn't get kicked off a team just before the show, did you?
No. Wow, what an intro there. Just diving right in.
Yeah.
It's, yep, there's a bit of sadness, a bit of understanding. There's a lot hovering in the air right now as we start this show.
Yeah, there is.
Literally, less than an hour ago, State of the Game went live.
Yep.
And while live, they made a certain announcement about one of their players.
And State of the Game's not a team, so they can't really make an announcement about one of their players.
That's true, but one of the team players on the show regularly was there, and making
not regularly on the show either, but okay.
Longtime participant of the show.
Not really. Not really. He's more of the Inside the Game crowd. He's not really State of the Game crowd. In control State of the Game.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But he wasn't kicked off the team.
But announced by his own team. Listen.
See, I'm misunderstanding you, sir. I thought you were saying that someone who regularly hosted the game was kicked off of their team. But,
oh, no. That's not what I'm saying. Basically, I feel like I'm... The reason there is this cloud over everything as we start the show, because I feel like we're supposed to be the happy, like, grab everyone on the shoulder. It's okay, everybody. Don't you worry. Esports is going to be just fine.
Well, it is going to be just fine.
Well, it is, naturally. but it is sad. And we have some some shoes to fill right now.
Yeah, the bottom line, I felt like trolling a bit at the top. But the point is, we're going to get to this later because we weren't really planning on talking about it right now. So we're going to stick to our bullet points, damn it.
Yes.
And we're a Blizzard celebratory show, so we're going to start off with Blizzard news and whatnot. But first, we have corrections from last week. Last week we did a lot of talking about esports in general because we got a lot of emails from you guys, listeners, new people coming into StarCraft asking, hey, could you please explain esports to me? I don't know what to watch. I don't know what ties into what, etc., etc. And Finite Element wrote in and wanted to correct us on the subject of Kespa, who said, hey guys, I'm always grateful for your amazing show. Thank you. It's very nice of you. He said, I'm Korean and I've been enjoying esports since 2003. Wow.
Yeah.
I was barely enjoying music since 2003.
2000, that put me right in my angsty years, so I don't think I was enjoying anything at the time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I was a really awkward kid in high school. That's not the important part. He said, in your latest show, number 150, it seems that you don't know why Kespa didn't start the StarCraft 2 when Wings of Liberty released. Kespa had a hard time struggling with the fund and fame?
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
sorry, what?
Be easy on this submitter. Clearly Korean. I did help out a little bit here, but it was awesome for him to write in.
Oh, cool. All right. He said, due to some players getting some money from the broker and intending to lose the match. Okay, we've talked about this on an old episode back when Mork was on. He said that Kespa lost fame. Some of the teams got no funds from their supporting companies and closed. And finally, one of the channels, NBC Game, changed to a music channel. That's an odd change. He said in that kind of situation, Kespa tried to change their league to Wings of Liberty, but Blizzard asked Kespa to pay them more royalty and give Blizzard more rights on the leagues. Kespa refused, and Blizzard announced that Kespa would not be allowed to use Wings of Liberty. So while Kespa stuck with Brood War, Blizzard and Gome TV decided to make the first league of the Wings of Liberty at GSL, sponsored by Blizzard itself. And since the new league has made, they decided to make organization like Kespa. Okay, the writing's getting a little tough here. That's why ESF made, I'm assuming, or ESF was made from the members of the Clans of Wings of Liberty who decided to join GSL leagues, and 2 years later, Kespa and Blizzard made an agreement and allowed Kespa to use Wings of Liberty. Said it basically, to boil it down, started with the problem of money, and I assume you may already know this, but I want you guys to notify listeners in America or other countries to understand why Kespa kept Brood World leagues for 2 years after the release of Wings of Liberty. Thanks for reading this long email, and I also am pleased to tell you the point of view as Koreans who enjoy esports and how it is like to watch the different leagues. Very, very cool.
Awesome of him to email this in. It's, well, we saw some of this kind of behind the scenes darker side of esports, particularly with the Slayers incident about 6 months ago.
Yep.
And there was some bullying going on between teams, people trying to muscle each other out. And in this situation, we find out that this group, Kespa, during Brood War, was making some under-the-table deals and botching some games. So Blizzard wanted a bit more insurance on their side that they could handle it. Kespa wasn't able to pay up, and I didn't understand this till now, until he emailed in, but Blizzard was that active in making the ESF teams.
Yeah, that was a big thing. There was a big meeting between everyone, and I thought we talked about that here on the show, but I'm not sure.
Either way, it continues to be impressive how much money Blizzard has been throwing at this from the get-go. It feels like with Heart of the Swarm, they've really dug in, but they were in it from the beginning.
Right.
You kind of assume when you see like Blizzard in the corner of GSL or other tournaments that they're like, oh, by the way, the game was made by Blizzard, whatever, moving on. But no, I mean, this is all sanctioned. There was money. There was royalties paid.
Yes, exactly. There's licensing fees and all that kind of jazz. And we've even talked about in the past how if your tournament is over X amount of dollars, you have to get Blizzard involved and acquire a proper license.
Yeah.
So, and they're cracking down on it even more now. As we talked about, I think about 2 months ago, that they kind of revised their tournament rules. So,
but don't be afraid out there if you are making a local LAN tournament, because at the same time they reorganized their rules for allowing large groups of people to play in a single place. You just have to notify them that you're going to doing it, so they don't shut you down thinking that you're running an illegal tournament in the background.
Yeah, they said in a lot of times, especially for very, very low cost tournaments, that obtaining a proper license is free. It's mostly just them, like you just said, Kyle, notifying like Blizzard so they don't so their server, knows how to handle the load properly. So very interesting. Again, thank you for your email, Finite Element.
Well, I'm glad we were able to tackle that this week instead of laying more information on last week. I feel like I've been having nightmares. Like I may have scared people away last week from watching esports, and they just went, it's too much. So
my answer is always just watch GSL.
I know. We got some good feedback, so apparently we helped some people out. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. Also, before we get into the rest of the news this week, I just wanted to give a big shout out and thank you to the Reddit user Reddit is Terabad SE2, who made a really nice post about our show today. We don't post on Reddit too often because they don't seem to know we exist, but this made it to the front page and it was incredibly positive, and thank you very, very much. You go, dude. You're cool.
Yeah. Thank you for everyone who upvoted it, who commented here. I mean, we didn't get really some critiques, certainly. I mean, those are to be expected, but everyone was just so kind. We really appreciated the feedback, the attention, and, well, if you're new to the show because of that today, welcome, and hope you enjoy your stay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to see a non-IdrA post also. That happened to be us.
True. We squeezed in there.
Yeah. So... anyways, top of the news this week, patch 2.0.8 is out. If you have logged into StarCraft in the past 2 days, you have probably noticed this. I got on last night and was like, this is a larger patch than I would have. I was like, oh, it's probably just some kind of God knows what. But I was like, well, no, it's over 50 megs. I should probably look into this. And it turned out, yes, it was a proper patch 2.0.8. There is no balance changes in this patch, however.
Nope.
Mostly... bug fixes, and lots of them. There's there's a long list, but the more interesting stuff is they made a change. The idle worker button now plays a subtle glow animation while active, and
it is pretty subtle.
It's nice though. I noticed it last night when I was playing some team games, which was good because I've gotten the longest team game of my life, and I actually mined out quite a few bases, so this came in handy.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying, Blizzard, go 100%. I want this thing flashing, buzzers, fireworks swirling off of it. But, if you're just leaving a probe out to make sure the Zerg doesn't expand, you don't want to be annoying yourself. So I think they did it tastefully.
Right. It's just a nice little touch. The Void Ray's prismatic alignment ability now plays a sound effect while activated. I haven't heard this. Have you, Kyle? Have you played around with this at all?
It's a charge-up sort of sound,
Okay.
Sounds like it's really getting going. And this is interesting because we have two other sound sort of patches that they threw in here. And this one is something they've talked about a long time. They keep saying that players don't know to run away when this turns on. So it's not blaring, but
Really?
It certainly helps you know when the prismatic alignment has activated. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that they're having trouble. Maybe they're using lower graphic settings so they can't see, the three beams connecting to the crystal and then shooting a big, thick laser at them. Not to chastise them or anything, but, I mean, if something flies into your base, mainly a pile of piled-up void rays, they're just void rays to you. And if you're still thinking Wings of Liberty, you forget that they can turn that on in an instant and how much damage they actually do for that finite amount of time.
I guess it's a good point. I would say the opposite. I bet it's probably newer players who aren't really used to that ability in general, because we're trained from Wings of Liberty. The second you see it get thicker, you're like, back off until it loses its charge.
Well, and I still do it like in the back of my head. I see that go on, and I think, run away for just a few seconds and let it turn off. But it lasts longer than that, since it activates instantly and then has its duration.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
It used to be safe if you just use like Hydras, because, I mean, Hydras don't take the bonus damage that it deals. The ability is anti-armor, basically. But it used to be that it would charge up, and as long as you had a bunch of units with very small amounts of health, it could never really get a good lock on.
Yeah, I used to throw Zerglings at them for that reason.
There was a ridiculous...
Joking.
Well, you could, and I'd actually leave them kind of running around in circles underneath just to see if, they were auto-attacking, and maybe I could save a base, because if you're new into StarCraft, there used to be a strategy with Void Rays where you would attack the destructible rocks before flying into the base so that you would have a fully charged Void Ray. It was ridiculous. I'm personally happy with this change.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, it's not, obviously there's not going to really be a downside to this unless you're just like, this is the most annoying noise ever. Turn it off. What are you thinking? But other than that, it's not like, oh my god, they make a noise now. Broken. So, the mothership's time warp ability now plays a dissipation sound effect.
Okay, so like a boo, basically, and this seems kind of odd to me, but I guess so it's maybe being cast in the darkness. Odd, I don't know. Maybe they thought we might not keep this ability, so they held off this long until they made a sound effect for it.
And if dissipation means it's ending, and it's very noticeable. This seems weird. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, it's a very large green bubble
Yep.
that drastically slows down your units. So you can't really miss it. And there aren't multiple of them being cast at one time.
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah. And then also on the realm of sound effects, Zerg eggs no longer play extraneous sound effects when units hatch.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. I still like it when certain buildings are completed. Like, I love hearing the Mutalisk sound when the spire finishes.
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely helpful. In fact, I am more alerted to that sort of noise than I am to evolution complete. And you'd think that would trigger more because you need to go back to your base and get going on some new upgrades. But whenever I hear that of all the Mutalisks hollering for joy that their spire is built, I'm fully prepared to hit that upgrade button. So, but man, if you had two bases and right next to each other, two queens having at them, pumping that larva out, it was just too much. It was like listening to rats swimming in mayonnaise.
There's nothing I can say to that, Kyle.
Well, duh. I mean, yeah, all the screeches, all the goo.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
I remember watching the making of Wings of Liberty, and they said it was chicken bones and a bucket of mayonnaise that most of the Zerg sound effects were made with.
That's very right.
That's gross. And I don't need to hear it that much.
No. Also, in patch 2.8 were a significant amount of replay enhancements, so significant, in fact, that Blizzard made their own blog post covering just those enhancements, basically saying that there's replay analysis tools such as SC2 Gears and GG Tracker, and that they kind of wanted to give them more statistics to kind of chew on. So they're adding army strength and battle statistics, economic management, and spending skill statistics, all into the data that are saved into replays.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So right now, when you log out of the game, I love that star, or the blinking that happens when you had higher APM, or you kept your money down better, or you were supply blocked less. That stuff is so rewarding to see. And now those statistics can be broken down into an actual graph. However, it does make me, if I worked for, SC2 Gears or GG Tracker, it'd be kind of sad to hear this news that Blizzard's muscling you out.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe some of them got jobs for all the work they've done.
That's true. I feel like that happens a lot more with Valve than Blizzard, but yeah.
True. That's different mindsets, different Blizzard really likes being localized in Anaheim and keeping its team.
Yeah.
So this will be useful. I'm excited to see what all they do with this.
Yeah, indeed. Looks cool. I find myself hard-pressed to get excited about graphs and bar charts and whatnot, but hey. In more exciting news, the call to action balance testing map has been up all week, and there's already been a response from David Kim on the subject and what to expect in the next balance patch. So he made a post saying that, first off, that pro-level balance is looking great in all three regions of the game, and ladder data is showing no sign of imbalance at any skill level. That's cool.
Yeah, I certainly know the GSL is almost 3-3-3 right now. I mean, it's a group of 8, but
Yeah, this past week seems a little Zerg heavy, but that's just this week in general.
Mm-hmm.
Or this week specifically.
It was the groups, yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Gumiho.
I'm so sad about it. He played so well in his first game.
Yeah, he did.
He played so freaking well. I'm a big Gumiho fan.
Oh, dude, his Marauder push was just horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Where he flew he had 6 Battle Hellions up in medevacs, hit the front with about 15 Marauders, and just flew the medevacs into every single base. It was disgusting. It was awesome. I've always enjoyed watching that guy's play. He wasn't as drop crazy as he normally is, though. Kind of playing against his strengths.
Yeah. It's interesting. Those opening games against whatever Low Sierra is named now.
Yes.
I forget. It's like Kung Hao or something.
Yeah, I certainly understand.
Somewhere. I keep forgetting his new name.
Yeah, I understand changing up your name, getting a nice haircut, rearranging the desk in your room, like all these things to kind of freshen yourself up. But man, that's your identity. And us Americans, we got a lot of names and we have a lot of hashtags. We can only take so much change.
True. This has happened a few times in StarCraft, though. But anyways, back to this. So yeah, it's looking balanced. He said on the subject of the changes that they were testing, this is the buffed spore crawlers, the significantly cheaper burrow cost, and the oracle speed increase. He said that they think it's too easy or too early to be making changes to promote different types of play. Even at pro levels, EVP, for example, has changed a lot within the last couple of weeks, which makes us think players still need time to explore the game. So this is kind of in line with what they've talked about in the past, that they're always very wary of making changes just to combat a fad.
Yeah, and I don't think the burrow change is essential. I certainly loved it this past week. Believe me, 50 gas, 50 minerals to get burrow at hatchery tech, that's amazing. And it made roaches amazing. And I loved every moment of it. And just the theme of it, the Zerg, and you're burrowing everywhere. I mean, that's the idea, is you go to a planet and there's just Zerg everywhere underground. Why not? And if you didn't know this, you can auto-click or auto-cast unburrow. So once you burrow the units, you can right-click, gives a little spinny animation, just like in Warcraft 3 with like frost armor. And this would allow whenever a unit would come within their attack range, IdrA-less, quite a bit of range, or Zergling right on top of them, they could automatically pop up. So it was so cool having these units everywhere all over the map that could do this, but it's not essential. And one of the most important things that this test map did was bring attention to the fact that burrow is on the hatchery. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping that even though this change isn't going to go through, that we see some people making use of it. However, I still feel like the price just isn't right. You've got the same price as Zergling speed and +1. And frankly, you're going to get +1. Or you're going to get Zergling speed. Or you're going to go ahead and get to layer.
Yeah, well, I think that might play into why they're not making the change yet, because if they made burrow half the cost, that it would become the new norm. It would become the standard, the thing you have to get.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you'd take a slight break between Queen 2 and 3, and everyone would get burrow on their natural or something.
Yeah.
So it's nice that they're keeping it as an option rather than a requirement. Hey, I wouldn't mind that price, though, being 50-50 and then get rid of burrow on the swarm host, because that's always seemed kind of weird to me. Granted, the swarm host doesn't really work without burrow, but it still seems odd.
Yes, it does. So both the Oracle and the burrow changes sound like they're not coming anytime soon, according to David Kim. He did say, though, a change for ZVZ is still looking like it's necessary. More specifically, they're starting to think that defending against early mutilus harasses are very, very much easier now with the spore change. So it's looking like the spore change is going to get pushed through. They said best case scenario, it'll be possible to not only tech to mutilus, but other options as well. And worst case scenario, even if mutiling baneling is still the best way to play the matchup, it'll be easier to mix infestors in due to mutilus offense being weaker and defense being stronger, which means games that go to mutilus plus infestors will be more common compared to only mutilus, and from this point onwards. There's potential that strategies can branch out to other units.
Yep, so I played around with something this week. The spore is incredible, frankly. You can kill mutilus in 4 shots now. So if you got 2 going, you're basically guaranteed to get some kills while they're flying in. I agree with him. I'd like to see more infestors in this matchup. It's going to take a lot of time for people to actually be able to aim those well. It's just going to take practice. And, man, once again, I fell into the trap of using infested Terrans. They're just so awful. I wish something could be done there.
Yeah, but they used to be really, really good.
Too good, absolutely.
So, I mean, infestors in general used to be a little too good, but I don't know, it's funny. We just had this discussion on This Week in Blizz on Monday, too. Yeah. So I'm curious if and when we'll see that Spore Crawler change go through to the live game. But I'm trying to think, what was the game in GSL this week that was ZVZ? Was that Symbol versus... Was it Symbol versus Lo Sierra? Oh, no, it was Symbol versus Sioux. I was like, oh, ZVZ, I might just skip this first game. And I'm glad I didn't, because you know what we didn't see? Muta versus Muta.
Yeah.
It was some good ground-based back and forth. Granted, they were quick, dirty games. But they were
that entire
fun to watch.
Group D was really strange this week. It's like everyone saw the previous group of death and said, oh my goodness, look at all the late game that everyone's good at. I need to be as aggressive as possible. So we didn't have a single Muta versus Muta. In fact, we barely had any late game anything.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was Symbol to Odin.
Yeah.
It was the first game, Sue went early pressure, Symbol defended it and then killed him, and then game 2, Symbol's like, I think I'm going to try early pressure, and it worked, and he killed Sue off again. So, good, dirty, quick, clean deaths in those 2 ZVZs, so go check that out.
Well, and I really like the Spore idea. I mean, one, it's about the only thing that you can upgrade that doesn't change the other matchups. And other than Overlords and some ridiculous theory crafting strats I read this week with like spreading the creep all the way to your enemy's ZVZ base and running Spore Crawlers, into their up into their natural so that you can pick out off overlords, because yeah, you do massive damage against bio in the air, and other than Mulus, you have overlords, but it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
As much as I would love like anti overlord strats.
Yeah, indeed. Well, while we're on the subject of GSL and WCS, I guess let's start talking about WCS America and leading into the loud drama of the day.
Sure.
So, first off, let's start with the good news, the happy news, the awesome news. Suppy was the first out of Group D. Didn't drop a game. Really jacked about that. He won 2-0 over both Korean players, Hart and Ryung. Ryung was second out of the group. And then Hello Kitty and Hart dropped down to the Challenger League.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm hoping we can get Suppy back on. I'm sure he's quite busy, and lots of people are wanting to interview him right now because he is smashing. And we saw him do really, really great in the WCS at the end of last year.
I would just like him to come back on and screw around with his camera and troll us like he did last time.
Oh, it was a great time. The guy's got a great sense of humor, a great head on his shoulders. I mean, the guy's in med school after all and still pulling these great results.
Yeah, he's a freaking great player. Really doing well. Can't say enough nice things about the guy. Also exciting, Group B, Violet getting first out of the group, but Scarlet also making it out of the group as well over State and Oz. I'm a big Scarlet fan, as a lot of people know, so I'm stoked that she's moving on. Okay, Group C. We had Pulp playing, Go-See User, Revival, and IdrA.
Mm-hmm.
That's
what happened.
Yeah, which leads us to the IdrA drama. Can I stop for a moment and
yes,
and bitch at the chat room?
Go for it.
All right, we have Negative Nancy in there, who said, any show not doing the IdrA story right now doesn't want to grow. Fact. No, sir. If I wanted to be State of the Game, I would either be on State of the Game or I wouldn't do a show. We've been going for 151 episodes now, doing a very fun, fan-oriented, average Joe show, and that's what we're going to keep doing. If you'd like, I could do what every other show does and give you the same crap about the same drama with the same loud volume, and that'd be fine. But do you really want 6 shows telling you the same shit? All right.
No. No, I'm too happy of a guy to let that get me down.
Yeah. That being said, do you want to try taking some live calls, by the way, on this subject? Because I feel this is something that fans would like to weigh in on.
Yeah, let's get through the basics first here, because, I mean, just last week we were introducing people to esports, and now we're about to do a big piece on IdrA. And frankly, the guy hasn't had much limelight in Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah, if you're just coming in at Heart of the Swarm, you're probably not too familiar with the now former player of Evil Geniuses. IdrA was really big during Wings of Liberty. He was an up-and-coming North American player. He was very good at the early days, very, very popular during beta, very popular in the opening seasons, and even had a pretty strong resurgence in maybe the latter half of last year, right before Wings of Liberty kind of closed out. He's very famous for being kind of a hothead. The character bad guy of the scene. I don't know, Kyle, how would you describe the picture as someone who's not familiar with him?
I would say that he had a lot of attention for us foreigner players in North America, because when Wings of Liberty started up, other than EG, we didn't really have anyone to look to. And for Zergs anyway, our foreigner man was IdrA. And also, it's a very tight community. So when IdrA would go up on the main stage, everyone knew him. Yeah, every single caster knew about him, grew up with him basically during the Brood War days. So everyone had a story to tell. Basically, you instantly either loved or hated the man.
Yep. And if you listen to old shows, I've gone through a roller coaster on my opinion of IdrA. I used to just think he was a whiny baby, and then I was like, he's still pretty good. It boiled down to the fact that he was a good player at the time, and despite my opinion, I would have loved to have seen a North American player do well over in GSL or even in home tournaments here like MLG and whatnot.
Absolutely. And he had a wonderful foundation of the game. The problem is that ultimately he's a very emotional player, and that gets the best of him in the game a lot. And he gets himself psyched out. And if he gets an early loss in a tournament, he often gets so down on himself he can't even compete.
Right. He's very much he's known for rage quitting, for leaving tournament games without GG. And if you're new to esports, not saying GG when you end a game is really, really bad form. It's like giving someone a middle finger pretty much without giving them a middle finger.
Yeah, you know what else is like that? Barcodes in Gold League. I mean, I'm not too proud that I'm still in Gold League. I'd like to be back in Plat, certainly. But I fought a barcode this week. I said, good luck, have fun. He said, nothing. Not only is your name hidden, sir in Gold Leagues, Mr. Important, but you wouldn't even say that back. I did, however, beat a man named YOLO Swaggins this week, so I was pretty proud of that.
I'm about to say, any time you get to kill someone with a name that bad, it's...
Just squeeze a few X's in there, and I would have been giddy.
Yeah, all right. Anyways, let's get to the story. So this week, IdrA played Polt in the WCS in Group C. This was, well, not even this week. This was yesterday. I originally first found out about this story, actually from our forums. Ramlade, I think it was, made a post just said, lol IdrA, WCS America. And I was like, all right, I'll bite. What does this have to say? Because I wasn't watching. Basically what happened is he was in a game with Polt. He wasn't behind. Polt was getting back in the game via drops and harassment. And IdrA was sitting on 3k gas, 3k minerals, and just leaves the game.
Well, full story is, and made much worse by the casters, who were doing a great job, absolutely. I mean, you gotta love the MLG guys. And they're making all sorts of jokes, being like, well, maybe this is when IdrA will leave, right? Like, elbowing each other in the side, just having a grand time. Well, when IdrA gets ahead, he immediately leaves. And if you've been watching him, you know that he has this idea of preservation of his energy. And when a game looks like it's going to go to supreme late game, which if you've been there, and you probably have if you played StarCraft, it's exhausting. And it's super hard. And if you're Zerg versus Terran, you know what it's like to see that endless parade as you're having to make banelings and trying to actually do some work here while it seems like his endless production facility. It's exhausting. And so in the past, IdrA has left a lot of games merely for the fact that he thinks the next game he'll do better if he doesn't waste all his energy here. So this game, which seems to be going quite his way, suddenly Polt starts making this pretty strong comeback, but nothing's for certain. IdrA immediately leaves. No word said.
Yeah. So news, obviously, this became the hot topic. This was all over Reddit, all over Twitter, all over Team Liquid, yada, yada, yada. And some interesting words were said, specifically words by IdrA himself in a Team Liquid post where people were trying to delve into the psyche of IdrA. Responding directly to a post saying that I'm sure IdrA's actually a nice fellow who's pained and crying inside, but is in forced facade for entertainment of whenever he streams. Basically saying that IdrA's attitude and whatnot is actually just an act to popularize the game and give us a character to root for or hate. To which he replied, and warning, if you have children, walk away now. He said, nope, you're all a bunch of fucks. It just so happens I get paid to treat you like it. It's fucking awesome.
Sure. Not the best thing to say.
No, I would argue it's the most idiotic thing ever to say.
I mean, however,
get paid to play this.
However true it might be in his mind that this is his character and insulting people is just part of the game, it's not very conducive to a good relationship.
No, it's not. So this going into setting up today's episode, this is all we knew. So we're timing out the notes, we're going back and forth. Oh man, can you believe IdrA? IdrA's he's being IdrA again.
He's being silly, gonna get another talking to.
Yeah. But then we sit down for tonight's show, and we see this official statement from Evil Genius's owner Alex Garfield saying that IdrA has been let go from the team. one of the quotes from the statement saying that it was never really an issue for us that Greg can be rude to his opponents in game or that he usually speaks his mind very bluntly and directly. But to us, there's a very big difference between a player being disrespectful to an opponent in a ladder match and a player being disrespectful to the entire community of people who, via their own enthusiasm and passion for the entertainment product he creates, actually make his profession possible. So obviously, Alex Garfield and the other people who are higher up at EG didn't take his comments lightly.
No, they've also got a lot of very high-profile sponsors. We know that there is a lot of IdrA haters out there. So there may have been yet another bout of people contacting sponsors directly that caused this to move a little faster than it should have.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. I feel like it's the end of Star Wars and I'm watching Darth Vader die. How do you feel?
It's sad because, one, I'm not going to disrespect the man by being like, oh, well, I really hope he gets some psychological help during the, whatever. I mean, that's his business, and I have no right commenting on that. However, I do have a right in commenting that EG handled this rather oddly and, in fact, not at all well with State of the Game being live at the moment, in control, on the screen, giving him this information. In control, as we know, is kind of the Papa Bear of the EG house, and I'm sure views every single one of them as family, as a team member, as someone he needs to take care of. I mean, he has been that sort of staple in the team for a long time. These guys,
I found out about Evil Geniuses through IdrA.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, who's this player? What's his team? EG? Okay. It's very weird as a StarCraft 2 fan. If you've been around since the Wings of Liberty beta, to think of an age now where we're going into where there's an EG sans IdrA.
Yeah, it's a change. Most certainly. You already said it. I mean, yeah, it's a change of era. It feels different. I wish they really would have given In Control that time to deal with it before having to talk about it, because the man was crushed. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, one of his good friends, probably a lifelong friend, and probably will still be, but is leaving the house. And it's a job. And you don't want anyone losing their job.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't understand Yelp reviews.
Way to segue, Kyle, into our Yelp segment. No. Now would actually be a good time, I guess, to take a few calls. If you want to talk about the IdrA whatnot, you can call us on Skype. Just call Gare_W, Gare_W. Only thing we ask is try not to swear your face off, and we won't hang up on you.
Yes, you'll make too much work for the editor.
Yeah.
And he'll get mad at us, and then things won't go so well.
Yeah, indeed. So, I don't know. I know Noobing's hanging around, dude, if you want to call in and give your thoughts, because I know the chat room is, we're seeing both sides of the argument. Actually, I would say 3 sides of the argument. This sucks, this is awesome, he deserves it, or I don't give a flying crap.
Yeah. It's the feels. I think they need you to type out the Skype name for him.
Oh, apologize. Excuse the typing. Call that. Garrett_W. We haven't taken live calls in a while, so to our podcast listeners, I apologize if I fumble with this for a little bit.
Sure. Well, it's a good skill to learn. We'd certainly like to do this more in the future, and hopefully, with time and permission from guests, we can help you guys connect with them live on the show as well. But no promises there.
Yeah.
But it really is amazing how everyone in the StarCraft scene is really feeling this. And you're right, it's the change of times. It's weird. A guy that we kind of got into esports with and was going to be our foreigner hope.
Yeah. Don't try and add me, just call me directly. You don't need to add the account, just call GARE_W. There's
Scruff McGruff.
Something very odd happening here.
I think people are actually picking up their real phones.
No, you just via Skype. This is Skype only. Huh. I think something is blocking it. There we go. Okay. Add. All right, I'm going to take one from Corin Porter, adding him to the group call. Let's see if this works.
Hey, guys.
Hey, is this Corin?
Yes, this is.
Hello, Corin. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you guys today?
Doing
Doing
good.
a little sad.
Me too. I like IdrA.
I'm feeling very conflicted. The funny thing is, Corin, when this happened, before he was let go from EG, my first reaction was, what a jackass. If this was any other sport, this guy would be fired so fast. And now that he's fired, I'm like, wait a minute. Too fast. Too fast, EG.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a pillar of the StarCraft 2 community since I've been paying attention to StarCraft 2. I was kind of wondering, though, as far as talented foreigners with potential problems go, Major just joined a Kespa team. Do you think there's any hope that Greg might go back to Korea and try that sort of path?
Ooh, I think that's way too intense for him. I mean, again, I don't want to get into his psychology, but the guy's got to refine his love for the game. And, I mean, you see it with Grubby. You watch his stream, and you're like, man, this guy gets it.
I love his face when he plays.
Yeah.
He's got the best fan interaction. Grubby's just happy.
Oh, he's cool as crap.
Exactly, and I'm absolutely sure there has been times where In Control's had to pull him aside, and they've had to try to rediscover the love of the game for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's got to be hard for something that requires a dedicated 8 to 14 hours of hard practice. If you can't find that mental focus, then it sounds like it's not going to be a very successful career for him.
Yeah.
I don't know, though, because Stefano's having similar motivational issues. Is it just EG Zerg players that are having it, or what's the problem here?
This has always been the case with IdrA. I mean, we've known him as like the guy who rage quits, the guy who leaves games early, the guy who lost to hallucinated void rays.
Oh God.
Yep.
So, yeah, great. I mean, I'll never forget that. On my deathbed, they'll be thinking of the woman I love and IdrA losing to void rays that weren't even there.
And it was in the chat between games that Huck told him they were hallucinated. Yeah, and Greg did not have a good reaction to that.
I wouldn't either. I don't blame him. I really don't.
So if not going to Korea to try and do a Kespa team, do you think he'd try something like Gosu User, where you go to Europe and sign up with like Millennium because they have a house?
I would see Europe definitely before Korea. I don't, especially anytime soon. I don't think he's going to go through all of this, and I really don't think the first. Again, I'm not IdrA, but if I had just been let go from a team, my first thought wouldn't be, oh, I'm gonna go to Korea. That wouldn't be it'd be way down the road.
And it's got to be scary, too, because there's probably a lot of people ready to pick him up. He's probably already got emails in his box because the numbers he pulls for streams, and they want a piece of that money.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him going to another American team, like Root or something.
Well, I'm curious about whether EG's streaming policies, which I think have changed for the Koreans with Coach Park and Pro League, I wonder if Greg voluntarily streams as much as he does, or maybe with a new team he won't feel the pressure to stream. Is that going to be a concern for him? Will he take a dip in income? Does he need to stream more? Will it help his results if it doesn't stream?
Well, he's got a lot of overlays to give back, certainly.
Yeah.
That's true. That's very true.
Does he get to keep the SteelSeries gear that he's been using with
I would,
EG?
I would think so. I don't think it's like every buddy cop movie you've ever seen where you go into the chief's office and like hand in your gun, hand in your badge, hand in your keyboard, hand in your mouse pad. I don't think it's like that. I really don't think so. But yeah, I'm sad. So are you sad to see him go?
Yeah, I mean, I love Protoss, but as far as foreign Zerg personalities go, he's one of my favorite to follow, and he's one of the best to watch. I hope he has success wherever he lands.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for calling in, Corin. We're getting a lot of other calls, so I'm going to take some of these. Again, the Skype account is GARE_W. Give me a call on Skype. Thanks, Corin.
Take care.
All right, going to try... Oh, I have no idea how to pronounce this. Oh.
Internet
wow.
names.
So many. I'm gonna close my eyes. Click one at random.
Do it.
Okay. This is John. John, can you hear us?
Hey, am I
John.
on?
You are.
Yep.
You are on. Welcome to StarCast.
Oh, awesome. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I was just about this whole like IdrA thing. I'm like reading like the posts and everything. Sorry, I'm like watching your stream, so there's like a lot of echo. But
Okay. Yeah. Just mute it.
I don't know. I feel like this whole thing with him is like it's like about time, but I feel like people are like handling it the wrong way, and I feel like it's not. I don't know. Like his whole. I feel like the way he treats like esports, like he talks about a lot on the stream about like wanting to like like help esports grow, and he had like his whole drama with Destiny, where like he's telling him to just leave if he doesn't care about StarCraft and how he cares about it, and then he talked about how he doesn't like Dragon because Dragon's very unprofessional about it, and then he does a lot of things that I feel like really hurts the game, like when it comes to I don't know, just like not even his like persona, like I feel like most people don't mind, like I don't mind when he like rage quits or talks shit, like when you get like frustrated and you're making money off of this, I feel like I would do that too. But like his whole drama with like the Muslim and like treating his own like teammates like crap, and then like when people like really care about him and then like really look forward to watching his game, and then he leaves like as soon as like when he was playing Puma, like as soon as he steps on creep, like he leaves the game, or stuff like that where he leaves the game where he's like maxed out. I feel like that's very disappointing as like a fan. And then I don't know, I feel like but he cares a lot about like results and like doing well. And to go like 2 years, I feel like resultless and just being kind of like a figurehead in the community based on his personality is like, I don't know. I feel like that must be disappointing to him as like a person. I feel like him talking shit on forums, like he's telling someone to like F themselves and then saying how like, everybody in like the community is like moronic. I feel like that's just him kind of like defending who he is. And I feel like if I was him and I just like got let go, based on, I guess, like my like mannerisms and things, like I would feel the same way. But I feel like if he doesn't get like picked up by a team, I don't think he's going to do like a free agent thing, which is what people are speculating. Like I feel like he'll actually go back to school because I feel like the life is too tough and there's not enough of a market there for someone who's like Destiny or these like really random free agenters who can get like a huge following based on that. So I don't know.
Well, and he's been with EG, so how do you transition out of that? Because you had the best, basically.
Right. Yeah. And then he's kind of associated with it. I think you said this before, like most of us kind of got into StarCraft like watching someone like him and then finding out, oh, like the EG is like you link EG with IdrA because you discover the player first and then the team.
Exactly.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
when we were coming up through the Wings of Liberty beta, it was IdrA, it was TLO, it was Husky. Like that was where we first started getting into esports.
Right.
And I agree with your comment about he was always making posts about this is an entertainment industry. I work as an entertainer. It doesn't matter that I, have these emotional issues. But at the same time, there's that parallel that you don't stay in games. And that's what we came for. That's what some people are paying to watch, and not to have you leave early. I mean, it was a huge deal when not Nama. Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting our other evil esports player from Europe. Starts with an N.
Naniwa.
Naniwa.
Yeah,
did the probe rush in GSL.
Right. Yeah.
Naniwa is another one of those players. I'm just like, I'm just kind of an ass, dude. But yeah. Anyways, thanks for calling in, John.
No problem.
We've got more calls coming over to try and take everyone. Okay, who was calling again? Let's try this guy. Let's see. Add to group call.
Hello.
Hi. What's your name?
Yeah. Call me Al.
Al. Hi, Al.
Yeah. Okay. Wait a second. I'll mute the stream from. Yeah. Okay. No echo. Yeah. Basically, I might be able to beat our previous caller in terms of ums. So. Sorry about that, and sorry about my accent.
If anyone's getting on people for calling into a show and they're not usually public speakers and they say or like or whatever kind of modifier, a lot those people can go screw themselves. So.
Well, or whatever like modifiers.
Okay.
Aside. Basically, I wanted to raise a point that EG, because I grew up with a different StarCraft scene from you guys because I live in the EU. So I didn't really have all that North American like team competitions.
Right.
Because in EU it is, as far as I understand, it's mostly personalities. And for me, EG, it has always been a team of personalities. So it's and stories, of course. So it's Thursday winning DreamHack, right? Coming in from nowhere and winning, and EG takes him. Then Stefano, one of the best. I don't know, one of the best Zergs, foreigner Zergs, taking him.
He was on a serious hot streak when EG picked him up.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's for me, it has always been a team of personalities, and I feel that EG, like as a team, they have lost so much with the loss of IdrA.
That's a very good point. I mean, it seemed like when it came to, because they do a lot of commercials like Kingston HyperX and whatever, and it's like Huck Machine IdrA was like this holy trinity of the EG personalities.
Yeah, we don't truly know yet, though, and I'm sure we'll find over the next couple of weeks how much poison he was actually leaking into the house.
Exactly, and that's the other thing. I mean, this is such hot news. We really, Alex Garfield hasn't gone anywhere and really discussed much of it other than his official statement. So, and we might never find out. There might have been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So.
That's a legitimate point. I mean, it's strange. It's like it's like kicking someone off Saturday Night Live for doing drugs. Like, well, we were all having a good time and laughing, right? So what was the problem?
I guess.
Slightly different there, Kyle. I would think that there's more drug use in entertainment than there is bad manners in. No, never mind. There's a lot of bad manners in sports, but
yeah.
Anyways. But yeah, I would agree with you there, Al. They do seem to becoming less and less of a personality team and be focusing more on results. I mean, 'cause for God's sake, they picked up J-Dong, so they're obviously trying to get some wins under their belt. So,
thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, Al. Have a good night.
No problem.
So, just crazy. This is cool, by the way. I'm surprised how well this is functioning.
Yeah, this is great. I'm glad we're getting to hear from y'all.
Yeah.
Shall we take one more?
Yeah, we'll take one more call.
If anyone's still calling you, they've got something more to say, so let's take them.
All right, so Justin is going to be our final call of the evening. Hi, Justin. You're on StarCast.
Hi.
Welcome. What would you like to weigh in on the subject of IdrA?
Well, I think IdrA himself is a good gamer. Like, he's skillful, but the bad manner, I think he went overboard. Just like Destiny was decent, but after the BM, like, no one really picked him up anymore. So I feel kind of bad for IdrA.
Yeah, he's had team retention for a long time, though, so he doesn't have the track record Destiny left with.
That's true, but, like, I don't know. In a way, I feel like the sponsors and stuff are going to be, like, kind of icky with him because, I don't know.
Because of his history?
Yeah, like, he's been pretty BM to everyone, and even after what happened with Polt, I think that was a bad decision for him to just post it. But, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, he's a polarizing figure.
Yeah.
He always has been. You've either loved him or hated him, or you were me and you're just like, one week I'm so sick of his shit, and then the next week he does well, and you're like, F yeah, go IdrA, North America fighting. But it's been a roller coaster ride following IdrA. It's rough because I don't know the guy personally, and like Kylan said, we've been trying not to speak for him or try to analyze him mentally. I've only met the guy twice, and it was in passing, and he was super cool when I talked to him. He was really polite, really nice guy. So it's rough. Like I said, my initial reaction when I heard about him leaving the game against Polt was, oh, come on, this is just getting ridiculous. Someone should do something. But then finding out he left, it's just like, what? Pump the brakes. Let's pump the brakes.
But then I really hope that he gets picked up by a good team because
Mm-hmm.
he's been doing pretty decent in esports. Like, even me, when I was just like a bronze league, like I watched him play and I was like, I wish I could be as good as this guy, and I wish I was as like popular as this guy. And then I don't know, he was a good figure to me, but then after everything, I still like him, but I'm kind of disappointed that he got kicked out of EG and all the drama that's going on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're a Zerg player and you played during Wings of Liberty, if you wanted a Zerg pro to look up to who had attitude, you had your choice of IdrA or Destiny, and I was always an IdrA fan, and I couldn't stand Destiny. So I'm like I said, overall sad to see him go.
Yeah.
But thanks for calling in, Justin.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one, man. So, anyways, I don't know when his mic's gonna be functioning. I promised Captain Noobing, our editor, that he could call in. So whenever your mic is working, dude, feel free to call in.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we were able to take some calls because it really gave some more perspective on this. And we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. I certainly hope it was for the team's sake and not the sponsor's sake, because that's going to be a lot harder for IdrA to find a new home.
Yeah.
All right, I can see Kyle's face.
Hey, Noobing.
That's always promising.
Can you hear us?
Yes. Okay, I can hear you now.
Cool.
Excellent.
You're a little low in the volume,
All
but
right.
we can hear you.
So,
He can edit himself later.
hi.
Yes, if for those of you watching live and listening via podcast, please welcome to the show Captain Noobing, a.k.a. Patrick, a.k.a. the guy who edits our podcast.
Yeah, that would be me.
Yeah, so thank you very much, sir, because I edit other podcasts too, and it's nice to have one I don't need to worry about.
Oh, and you make it sound so sexy. You got to love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do what I can.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So, anyways, what's on your mind, dude?
Well, I'll say this. I actually met IdrA when I was 2011 at Providence. So, I mean, I got all those interviews for everybody, so I'm,
Yeah.
running my microphone, talking to everybody. And he was a really cool guy. And I remember talking to him, there was a game that he played against Bomber on Metalopolis, like, years ago.
Oh man, I missed that map.
Yeah. I don't know if I miss it, but I remember it.
I know this is totally not your point, but you just sent me down nostalgia road.
Right?
I think that was inevitable.
Yeah.
So my point is that he was an amazing player. His mechanics obviously undeniable. I'm wondering if this is going to be what he needs to kind of like put himself into perspective. Nobody can say that he's a bad player. It's just how dedicated is he? When's he going to stop saying that it's everything else, it's not him? And I'm wondering if this is going to be what he needs to kind of get to that point.
That's a good question to pose.
And it's a real legitimate one because we know he's been competing for years, since Brood War. I mean, he has had his head in the game. And to take a look from the outside could be real refreshing. And that's as far as I go on that topic because, again, that's his mind and what he's going to get up to personally.
Yeah. So I mean, that was my only point. Is I'm hoping that, he has been, or at least he was, my favorite player for a long time, and I'm hoping that this perspective can kind of, hopefully, it will get him to that perspective.
Yeah. If he were, hypothetically, let's say he were to go to a team, what team would you like to see him go to?
I don't even know. I think that somebody, the best people to take him would probably be somebody that with the most diverse gameplay, because, like I said, his mechanics are undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can find somebody with the wackiest gameplay that he can, it doesn't even have to be solid, just something that maybe that would teach him how to expect the unexpected. I think that would probably be the best thing for him.
Yeah, well, he's been practicing with the same dudes for quite a few years now. I'm sure it would be quite fresh to his play to not only go up against new styles in a team setting, but also people that he doesn't have a history with and probably don't take his shit.
Exactly.
That's one of the more interesting points I think that's been raised this evening, Kyle.
You're welcome.
So, but yeah, that's a very good point, Noobing. I'm really curious to see what comes out of this. Is the bottom line for IdrA.
Hopefully, it doesn't just disappear.
Right. That would be the worst thing, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, anyways, dude, thanks for calling in.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for editing the show.
Yep. You'll hear from me tomorrow.
All right, see you, man.
Captain Newbing, everyone.
Yeah, great man. Great volunteer for our show. We just can't thank him enough. He does so much for us. So, all right, dude. Well, let's. We already talked a lot about WCS Korea out of turn, just in subject. But anything else you wanted to mention moving out of the IdrA? Any final words on the IdrA drama?
No.
I'm sure we'll be discussing it next week via emails from podcast listeners.
Yep, and it's an interesting discussion because we haven't had a high-profile team do this. We've had high-profile people leave teams, but certainly not one as established as EG. So if nothing else, it's an interesting case study, even if it doesn't involve an interesting man.
Yeah,
who is interesting.
One thing I'm surprised no one mentioned is I would find it interesting if he started casting or something.
Yeah, well, that has the whole other caveat of those who can't play teach, and I'm sure he's got a lot of pride and still wants to prove he's good. And he's still, I guess he's not in the WCS. Is he going down to the Challenger League? Is he still? Yeah, because
this is a Premier League game, so I believe, unless he was disqualified for being a jerk, that he's still eligible for the Challenger League.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how it's supposed to work. If you lose in the Premier League, you get bumped down to the Challenger League and have to fight your way back up.
Well, that's up to Blizzard and the WCS, but that ruling should have nothing to do with the drama of him posting on Team Liquid.
Right, exactly. I just mean if they thought it was bad sportsmanship for him to leave when he did, I doubt that. I mean, you can't really fault someone for whatever reason he left. It didn't matter if it was truly just because of screw this, or if it was really, got all up inside his own head.
Yeah, and I truly believe that it was his old classic endurance, and he wanted to save it for winning another match.
Yep.
So I'm happy to move on. I did want to bring up one quick thing about WCS Korea, because it was an awesome strategy for you Zergs out there. Watch Flying versus Roro. Artosis drops an excellent... What? Roro, yes.
I can't help it. I like
the Scooby-Doo
like that. Roro.
I know. Roro. I can't believe that's the same guy who does the voice of Freddy. Frank Welker, man.
I hate Scooby-Doo.
Well, Scrappy-Doo you can hate. Scooby-Doo, really? You hate him?
Hate it. That whole cartoon is turd brown, and I can't stand it.
Oh, I mean, now that you're older, certainly it's turd. I mean, have you watched Fox Kids' Spider-Man? That show has no plot.
Yeah, okay, I derailed you. Continue. I didn't like it when I was a kid. I don't like it now.
Or how about Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze? Go back and watch that.
I have the trilogy, and I watch them almost annually.
Oh, you got to watch it with nostalgic glasses. At any rate, moving on.
Yeah.
Swarm Hosts versus Sky Toss, and it works. And it doesn't make sense when you first think about it, but basically what you do is you park them up at the edge of your creep as close as you can get to the Protoss base when he is going Sky Toss. This constant wave of units forces him to stay in his base because he has nothing else to defend but these air units. The ground is just coming at him. He's got to get Storm. He's got to get Colossi. Meanwhile, you are just building up spine crawlers and spore crawlers and just making this awesome base right out in front of there. Get a whole bunch of Corruptors, which are not dead weight anymore because they're taking out air, and Colossi. And you've got this constant ground reinforcement. And then Vipers. It was one of the more beautiful strats I've ever seen. And certainly
which player was this?
This was Roro doing it against Flying.
Okay. Gotcha. I missed this game. That is awesome. When you were telling me about this before we got into today's show, I was so stoked because I found a severe lack of Swarm Hosts in pro games. And I find it to be such a damn entertaining and interesting unit.
And I feel like this really gave an exact situation they can be used in. And so I think we're going to see a lot more moving forward. I'm real sad to see Flying out of the WCS. Well, Code S anyway, because I was enjoying this man's play.
Mm-hmm. I don't think this will be the last we see of him.
No way. I mean, recently came in from Kespa, so there is lots more to go there.
Yep.
And this whole week in WCS Korea, or the GSL, was plagued by Terrans almost mind-controlled to only do Hellbat drops. And I understand they're great, but they couldn't stop themselves, even if the strategy didn't work.
Not in Gumiho versus Kongho or Low Sierra. Damn it, it's Low Sierra. Gumiho versus Low Sierra. We didn't really see a lot of Hellbat drops.
No. Gumiho managed to break the stagnation, but everyone else, I mean, Yoda and
And he didn't make it out of the group, so pattern?
Nope. Ooh, maybe. I'm thinking easy mode, and a real player just knows how to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff. So, anyways, round of 8 will be kicking up next week, so I'm excited for that.
I'm not excited for the break they always take, though, between 8 and 4.
No.
They always take like a week off, and I'm like, come on! And I watch all the Code A games, and I'm come on!
Well, they need to, otherwise I wouldn't watch any other tournaments.
Right? Yeah, I know. It's a nice little break to catch up on the other ones. But man, I want that finals.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. WCS Europe is also going strong. Vortex and Nerchio moved on to the next round over Daishi and Monchi, and Baby Knight and Stefano as well made it out over Grubby and Crass. So sad. Say it isn't so, Grubby.
I know.
I was rooting for Grubby and Stefano. Why couldn't it have been Stefano and Grubby? I'm really sad.
Because Baby Knight's a boss.
I know, but it's Grubby.
He's amazing. I know,
but it's Grubby.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love Grubby. We already said our love for Grubby here.
He's like the guy everyone has to root for, and if you don't, you have no soul. It's
yeah,
like
you're
saying,
a bad person.
It's like saying you don't like Thriller. Who doesn't like Thriller?
I mean, even if you don't like Thriller, you respect it.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I went through a phase where I didn't like Michael Jackson, but I've come back around. I still think he's a total weirdo.
Sure.
Like the music. So, anywho, let's get into some feedback, some emails as we reach the end of the show. If you've got some questions, chat room, post them now. Kyle, if you could pull them out and paste them in the doc as I start reading through some of these emails. First up, Discorax wrote in, good friend, the administrator for our forums, said, hey, Garrett and Kyle, right now ZVZ is the race to Muta on Muta Wars. My question to you guys is, do you find this entertaining when it's executed at the pro level? As someone that really appreciates the intricacies of macro for Zerg, seeing where this mirror matchup is right now, I find it somewhat of a guilty pleasure watching these mirror build fights end up tilting the game. I am entertained by the ZVZ Muta on Muta battles. At the same time, it's the same units doing the same things from both players all game. So the question is, are you guys entertained? Is Muta on Muta more interesting than Turtle into Broodlord Infestor? Go! Like he says, go. Are we wind-up monkeys? You just twist, like, wind, and let us go? It's not how we are, sir. Actually, that's exactly how we are.
Pretty much. I mean, we come home from work, we sit down, and we get jacked on our shows.
Pretty much.
Because I can tell you, before I sit down and turn this camera on, I'm half asleep.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I had a huge dinner and a cookie before I sat down for tonight's show. I sit down and just like, if you're watching the live show, I'm like,
I hope it was sad. You're like sitting there scrolling through Reddit on your phone. And you're like, "What, IdrA guy? I need a cookie."
That's exactly what kind of happened. I sit down. I'm like, "Oh my god, food coma," and then I call you. I open the notes. I make the Twitter post, and I'm just like, "Starcraft awesomeness. Time to go."
In case you guys haven't noticed, we love doing this show.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really, really fun. Even when there's assholes like the guy earlier in chat room was like, this show doesn't deserve to grow because they're not talking about it right out the gate. So
that's what he sounded like.
That's yeah. Actually, I think he probably sound like this.
Sure, you want fries with that?
I'm in a goofy mood. I'm trying really hard to be positive because I am not happy about the whole IdrA mess.
Yeah, sure. Well, let's get to Disco Rax's question.
Yeah, Muta on Muta. Kyle, what's your thought on Muta versus Muta?
I'm not entertained because I know the pain that's going through the players' heads, and it's...
So does it stress you out? Because
yes,
it starts putting you into the mindset of when you're playing that type of game?
A bit. Yeah, I'm really excited for Infestors to make a bit of a comeback with the Spores. I really like going Hydra against Mutalist. Because that makes sense. They should be Muta killers.
Yeah.
And nothing's more frustrating when you're another race and you just see that ball and you have no idea how deadly it might be or how many Mutas are crammed in there, but it's just boom, piling down, and just murdering your entire supply line.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, I enjoy watching a true mirror matchup with, like, same builds, same units from time to time. My issue with Muta versus Muta is we're seeing a lot of it right now. Luckily, the ZVZ I watched this week on GSO was not the case. But yes. It was also over in like 5 minutes.
Yep, and I certainly prefer it over Broodlord Infester. That didn't really happen in the ZVZ situation. That would have been awesome. I think I would have loved that in ZVZ. But I would happily take Mutaverse Muta ZVZ over our old version of Broodlord Infester ZVP. Because that got dull in the vortexes. Yeah. And I'm more than happy for Muta versus Muta over Mass Infester, infested Terran battles. What the hell's going on in the middle of the map, roaches? So the game's in a good place, and I'm glad they're taking their time with it.
Yeah, indeed. So thanks for your email, Disco. Love hearing from you. Tim wrote in with a delightfully off-topic question. We love off-topic questions, especially towards the end of the show, where we can get all kinds of crazy, kooky, and weird, and especially on days where players we're fans of are no longer parts of teams. Tim writes in and says, "Hey, guys, who's your favorite X-Men mutant and why?" Kyle,
Yes.
you're an X-Men fan, right?
I watched a lot of X-Men growing up.
Okay. I'm not really an X-Men fan.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy the movies. Never really got into the comics. Really couldn't get into the cartoons, which boggles my mind because, like I admitted to earlier, I watched the crap out of that terrible Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Everyone knows.
Yeah. Anyways, that being said, everyone has a favorite X-Men.
Sure.
Who's yours?
Mine's Cyclops. I know that seems kind of lame, but
Oh!
damn
Oh
it.
my god.
I know.
And you don't like Blade Runner!
Why would that be related?
Because Cyclops is the worst X-Men. Well, no. Worst only to Jubilee.
Oh, yes. No, Jubilee, who accidentally blows up a VCR and like gets sent to jail to find out she has superpowers, is definitely one of the worst.
Yes.
I mean, Juggernaut's awesome, but ultimately, a lot of the X-Men are really cool. However, Cyclops, one, he had the relationship with the Supreme Being, Phoenix, and that was pretty sweet. He always kept the team together because so many people are all about Wolverine, but that guy was a loose cannon. He never got anything done. If it wasn't for Cyclops, nothing would ever get done. The jet wouldn't have even left the dock. Everyone would be too busy screwing around in the mansion.
All right. Fair enough.
And he's got a brother who shoots lasers out of his hands, and he doesn't hate his brother. I respect the man for that, because he's got to wear visors his entire damn life, see red forever, and yet his little brother got the same exact powers, except for he controlled them and shoot them out of his hands, and he doesn't have to wear, like, super gloves or anything. How do you not hate your brother in that situation?
Because you're a poorly written character.
Because you're a good man, Scott Summers.
I'm not a fan of Cyclops at all.
Did you ever play the... what was the X-Men games that were kind of like Gauntlet Legends?
Never played them.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance, that was it.
Gotcha.
Cyclops, awesome character in those. Magneto was the best, clearly.
Mm-hmm. And I would say I'm almost tied for my favorite X-Men. I'm a big fan of Magneto and a big fan of Nightcrawler. If I could have any power, teleportation would be pretty high on that list. But also, so would be controlling metal, having magnetic capabilities.
Yeah, it's pretty darn useful. And also you get to be Ian McKellen, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was younger, I was all about Nightcrawler because he was badass looking. And that scene in the beginning where he's running through the White House in the second movie, I was sold. Granted, by the end of the movie, not so much. But in the beginning of X-Men 2, I was loving it.
Yeah, he was kind of... I don't know. I really liked what they did with his character in the X-Men movies, but he's only in the second one.
I would just be too afraid to, teleport inside a wall.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I can see that, but you could just teleport again.
Well, I don't know if it's like an atom thing where like your atoms are literally divided up by bits of wall now and you are one with the wall, because that's horrifying. And I don't think you can get out of that situation.
True.
But you could, however, like throw a cheeseburger in the air and teleport it into your stomach. You should probably chew though, so not a good idea.
Why would I want... The whole point is to taste it.
Yeah,
they're terrible for you. If I'm not going to taste it, why would I bother?
Nightcrawler's a busy man, doesn't have time for breakfast. Throws it in the air, catches it in the stomach.
Cool. I'd rather be Iron Man, just putting that out there.
And agreeing with Greyfire in the chat room. Wait, nope, he was just saying, hell yeah, Garrett. It moved on me. Yes, current TV. In the video games, hell yeah, Nightcrawler was the coolest because I remember on my old Game Gear, you could be as Nightcrawler in that X-Men game, and you could teleport through the walls, which as a side-scrolling platformer was the best thing ever.
Yep. It's like cheating.
Pretty much.
It's like cheating being a mechanic of a character in the game.
We used to call that no-clip.
Yep. Indeed, it was fun. Harry Dragon wrote in, I don't want to know what your name means, and he says, with all the fantastic guests that you get on, you are seriously helping to broaden our esports knowledge, such as Kim Ram, which was a truly fascinating insight into the world of peripherals, and Harstham, who gave the best outro to anything I've ever seen. He's asking, he said, if you could get Total Biscuit on, that would be fantastic, given that he now lives in Murica, it should be more viable. I'd love to have Total Biscuit on. He's a hard man to reach. Sure. Very hard man to reach. Very busy. It's like trying to get Day 9 on. It's hard to pull off unless you know the right people. For those he also says, for those trying to figure out how to get their girlfriends accepting of StarCraft, I have found a surefire way to do so. I'm lucky in that I have a gamer girlfriend. She can kick my ass in Team Fortress 2 and Awesome Knots. So then your opinion no longer matters because she's already a gamer. This isn't surefire. You're wrong.
That's true.
I don't know he's saying, but she's just not interested in StarCraft. However, all in caps, the secret is StarCrafts. Thanks to this show, I discovered Carbot, and I love it. The Infestor playing with the Hellions has to be my favorite. That's because you have a soul, and it is actually the best thing that show's ever done. And she is an avid fan of it. She may not entirely understand it. Like in the most recent episode, she didn't get the pylon, but that's where we, as StarCraft followers, step in and explain it. Great success.
I love that new one.
Yeah.
And I just love the drone. He imagines that he's going to be a hatchery, which seems like a bad thing, but that queen is all loving up on him. He's never been so happy in his life.
Yeah. Finally, and I think Kyle will like this, he says, in relation to the Carbot show and my girlfriend, she works for a sock company, and for social media marketing. She makes a sock monster every month, and this month she based one on that. I dubbed it Sockalisk. Attached the picture and link. I'm trying to convince her to give it to me rather than keeping it in the cold and lonely office. I didn't see this.
Well, click it there, man.
Oh, this is adorable. Hello, web. Yes, this is it. She calls it the Littling. Oh, that's adorable. It looks like a green Ultralisk. That's very cute. I want one. Make her send me one. Make it happen. Thank you for your email there, Harry Dragon. That's a good point. StarCraft is a great way to, I think, get someone who's not familiar with it or just can't seem to get interested into the game.
Yeah, I find that people often use the same argument they use for World of Warcraft against StarCraft. They say, oh man, I could be really into that, but I'm a perfectionist. And if I don't have the time to devote getting really good at the game, I don't even want to try.
Then do you do anything?
Yeah, I know, right? So do you leave your house in the morning? Because there's a lot of trying outside. You got to meet people. You got to, strive for success.
Yeah. That's weird.
Hey, it happens. I find a lot, and I've met people, in StarCraft who have been like, dude, how can you not want to play the very best strategy of right now? And I'm like, well, because I enjoy the discovery and I enjoy the experimentation that a strategy game brings and having my own style.
Yeah.
Even though there's an established norm almost 100% of the time.
Yeah, indeed. Some chat room questions. Ruby Arat asked, what are our favorite units from our ladder race? Or favorite unit, singular.
Yep.
Is yours still an Ultralisk?
Absolutely. I remember when the trailer came out for Heart of the Swarm, and everyone was saying, well, it must be a dream because Kerrigan is imagining Ultralisks are good. Well, who's laughing now, huh? Because Ultralisks are good.
They are.
And this 3/3 awesomeness on 3 bases that keeps happening. Granted, I don't want to become stale like the Broodlord Infestor days, but I'm loving every moment of it. And I found out that
quite awesome.
Widowmine's Void armor this week, which is horrifying.
They do bonus? Or what are you talking about?
Widowmine's attacks ignore armor.
Oh, ignore. You said avoid. I'm like, what the hell do you mean avoid armor?
Yeah, they pass completely through it. It's like a spell.
Okay. Gotcha. Flavor-wise, my favorite unit is still the Thor, but in terms of what I actually use, Marauders. I love Marauders. Love them.
Yeah, they're
Fun.
good.
Very,
Don't see
very
enough
fun.
of them anymore.
You're not playing with me.
True.
I don't care what I'm playing against. Anything, because if it's Zerg, it's like, sweet, I can just control-click my Marines, move them behind my Marauders, and Banelings are useless.
Oh man, there was a great joke on the StarCraft Reddit this week. I wish I could give the guy credit. I'll do it right now after I tell the joke. But it was, hey guys, have you heard that the Reaper's getting concussive grenades? Yeah, Blizzard didn't think of the repercussions.
That almost was so bad that it came out on the other side and was funny.
I loved it.
It fizzled. It fizzled, though. Fizzled. So, anyways, that brings us to the end of the show. Did you find his name?
I'm looking for it. Keep going.
Okay. We are at the end of the show. If you'd like to help the show out and help us out for free, leave us a review in the iTunes store. If you're a podcast listener, it helps the show get to new ears. StarCast is a production of amove.tv. You can find this and many other awesome shows like This Week in Blizz and our new show, The Campaign Roundtable, over at amove.tv. TheStarcast.com is the place to go for our forums, our archives, t-shirts at /loot.com, and more. You can catch us live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/thehandsomenerd. Our VODs are on youtube.com/StarCastShow, and the podcast is on the Frog Pants Studio Ultra feed over at frogpants.com.
Thank you for Todd the Tyrant for that awful joke.
Gotcha.
I loved it.
Thank you, Todd. Email us at starcastshow@gmail.com. I'm expecting many, many emails on the subject of IdrA. We'd love to hear from you guys, so send them in. You can send in calls to 941-882-0281. That's our voicemail line. We will throw those on the show as well. And follow us on Twitter at the StarCast. You can follow me at Garrett Art, 2 R's, 2 T's, 1 T on Art, and Kyle at Kyle Fergusson. Big thanks to our production crew, Octane Pro and Captain Noobing, who called in earlier, for all that they do for our show. And you can check out my portfolio website, nomoonart.com. For all of my graphic design work, if you need Twitch designs, logos, stream graphics, anything at all in the realm of streaming games, or God knows what else, I'm always available for freelance, so go check it out, nomoonart.com. Kyle, where can people find you?
You can also find me at Biggest Fan Podcast, where we followed the fad that's driving you mad. And this week, you're right. This past week was Robert Downey Jr. week. It was a lot of fun. I saw Iron Man. Really, really enjoyed that. Came for the magic, but left happy. But this week is
Was there no magic? There was plenty of magic.
Well, there was the magic of cinema.
There was the villain was magical.
Well, he was... well, yes.
They basically found a scientific way to write in magic.
Yes, basically. But it still was... I mean, I watched a lot of the... There's origin story cartoons and all sorts of things that involve the Mandarin. Anyway, no spoilers for anyone out there. But I enjoyed it, and I'm surprised they continue to find cool stories to tell about Iron Man. At any rate, it's Baz Luhrmann week, which I am afraid.
Who's Baz Luhrmann?
He's the director of The Great Gatsby, which is coming out this week.
Oh, I'm a big fan of his, apparently, and just didn't know his name, because he also did Romeo and Juliet and Moulin Rouge, which, men, if you're out there thinking, I'm too manly for Moulin Rouge, it is awesome.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Oh,
I love...
so good.
Oh, God. My favorite song in it is
Roxanne.
So Exciting.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Roxanne's great.
The rendition of Roxanne in that movie is amazing.
Yeah, he's got a great voice for that. But no, you gotta love So Exciting. The audience will stop and cheer.
I mean, the opening medley is wonderful, too.
And the can. Yeah, no, it's a great fun movie. Not so fun towards the end, but that's how dramas go.
Yes. Great date movie. If you are a nerd with a nerd girlfriend. Well, actually, you don't need to be a nerd to enjoy it. But yeah, check it out. And
Ewan McGregor. You gotta love him. Obi-Wan,
the second Obi-Wan, the good actor from those movies.
Yes. I'm glad he gets remembered as that. His master, though, was good, though. Liam Neeson.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Qui-Gon was great. Natalie Portman was good in most of them.
Well, this guy's done some pretty obscure stuff. And I'm going to be watching things like Australia, which I have been told not to ever watch. But I'll subject myself to it for the show. In fact, I don't think we mentioned our other show here. We mentioned it in passing, maybe. But this past week, the campaign roundtable was delayed. We had some tech issues that came up, and look forward to...
They were crippling. It is very rare that we cancel a show based on tech issues. But we were having a lot of problems.
Yeah, crippling is the right word to use. But we'll be back next week with part 2 of Portal, and I am so excited because I am still holding off on playing BioShock Infinite, but that's our next game, yeah?
Yep. So you
awesome.
Better start, man. Actually, we're breaking up in thirds, so it won't take you long to get through the first third. So, anyways, as always, big thanks to our sponsors, DoghouseSystems.com, TweakedAudio.com, and SC2QuoteOfTheDay.com. Our code is StarCast. What does that code get you? Well, let me tell you. It gets you double memory on your next Doghouse Systems gaming rig. You can go from 4 gigs to 8 gigs, or 8 gigs to 16 gigabytes of RAM for free. Also, using that code directly supports our show. Doghouse Systems makes amazing gaming rigs. I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Their customer service is the best on the planet. They support us, so you should support them if you're in the market for a new gaming computer. That same code, StarCast, will get you 30% off and free shipping on your entire order of earbuds from tweakedaudio.com. They're noise canceling, they have flat non-tangling cords, and they come in a variety of styles and are quite affordable. They're even more affordable with our code, so go check them out. And of course, finally, SC2QuoteOfTheDay.com. Follow them on Twitter at SC2Quotes and get their Quote of the Day QOTD app from the iOS store. They're currently working on one for the Android market, and we'll let you know when that's up. We thank them all for their support, and we thank you all for listening, watching, or however else you're digesting this. If you're reading a transcript that some guy in a cave is apparently making unbeknownst to us, thank you for reading said transcript. We will see you next week with episode 152. Good luck and have fun.
Take care.